All right, fam, it's your boy Josh back again with another video, and today we are talking about the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I have been using this phone for 30 days, and I actually switched from the Oneplus 13 as my main Android phone, and so far I have been very impressed with this phone. I think my user experience is different than most reviewers out there on YouTube because this is the very first time I have ever used a Samsung Ultra or even Note phone, period. I mean, obviously, as you guys know, a lot of people have complained about how this phone wasn't really an upgrade from the Galaxy S24 Ultra, etc. But with my experience, it's been really cool overall, especially getting used to using the S Pen. I mean, I use that for everything right now. But I have had a few issues that we definitely need to talk about. Let's get to it. When I first took this phone out of the box, I was very surprised on how it felt. To me, the iPhone 16 Pro Max with that titanium and the contoured edges and all of that, this phone felt so good to me. It's actually one of my favorite designs. And the OnePlus 13, I loved how it had this soft touch backing with the stainless steel glossy sides. But whenever you pick up this $1,300 phone, you know it is premium. I like how it still is very boxy, especially whenever you're watching YouTube videos. You have that boxy TV-like look. I love this. I think it has the perfect aspect ratio. It has a perfect minimal bezels. Absolutely beautiful. So the design on this phone is second to none. I think Samsung really enhanced their device from the S24 series. And this white color with the silver titanium sides and the black camera rings, absolutely beautiful. And I like this phone so much, I typically run it without a case, but the case I have been using whenever I have needed to run a case is this Binks case here. I will leave a link in the description below, but it is super thin, super light, but it adds a much needed grip to this device, which I find very nice. But yeah, I'll typically just rock it without a case. One thing that also blew my mind was the anti-reflective display. Now, I do use a FlowLab screen protector on my iPhone, and the FlowLab screen protector actually comes built in with anti-reflective. So my iPhone is actually more anti-reflective than the majority of people out there because of that FlowLab screen protector. And I thought this was good, and it still is. But the one that's built in on this S25 Ultra is kind of mind-blowing. So right here, you see I have very, very bright studio lights. Look at that. Look how much more you can see on the OnePlus. I mean, that's insane. I noticed that right away. And I think that particular feature is so good that more flagship phones need to bring it to their devices. Apple should really figure out a way of getting that technology on their phones because it really is that good. This phone, I believe they say, has 2600 nits of brightness, but there are occasions where I feel like I have to turn up the brightness bar more than I'm used to. Like I'll turn it up to max and it doesn't feel like the phone is actually maxed. I feel like there have been occasions though, like although I love the anti-reflective display, I feel like there has been occasions to where I'll go in and I'll try to turn the brightness to max and I'm like, is that it? Is that the max brightness you are offering? So I don't know why that's the case. Now obviously there is a way to bypass this. If you swipe down, hold down on the brightness slider, uncheck adaptive brightness and then check extra brightness. The extra brightness mode is very bright and that allows you to see the screen very well. But whenever I have auto adaptive brightness on and then I turn it up to max, it just feels like it doesn't get bright enough, which I'm not a fan of. There's even been situations to where I'm outdoors using both this phone and my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and this phone just doesn't automatically get as bright as it needs to. Now that could change over time with the auto brightness configuring itself better. I mean, it's been over 30 days though, so I feel like it would have already been adjusted to me by now. But yeah, I would like to have more than what Samsung offers nit-wise. Outside of the occasional feeling of not bright enough, this screen display is amazing. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy with this display being an 8-bit display as opposed to a full 10-bit display. Like I know you can't watch Dolby Vision videos on this phone, but even with saying that, the screen looks fantastic. So like we'll just pull up a random wallpaper. The screen looks really good. All of the icons here look amazing. They pop out of the screen. You've got these super thin bezels, which we talked about earlier. It looks amazing. And I think that anti-reflective display just makes it look even better. But to me, I do feel like I enjoy the OnePlus 13 display more. It gets brighter and it supports Dolby Vision and all that good stuff. The battery itself on this phone is pretty good. I can typically go an entire day and not ever have to worry about charging until I am getting into bed. I'll typically end the day with around 20%, 15-20% left. And I think that that's okay. On these two guys, I can easily end the night with 40 to 60% left, depending on what I'm doing. And I feel like Samsung could have done better. They definitely could have given us a silicon carbon battery and gave us 5,500 or 6,000 milliamp hours. I'm pretty sure they haven't updated from the 5,000 milliamp hour size since the Galaxy S21 Ultra, which is absolutely insane. But the battery, overall, it does perform well. I would just like to see them innovate more and use the new technologies like other phone manufacturers are using. So the battery for me does last the entire day, but just barely. Samsung, you really need to jump over to that new battery technology. I feel like if this phone had a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, it would outperform both of these phones. So yeah, guys, come on, just get it together. Just try it out. I know you guys still have PTSD from whenever your old Note were blowing up on planes and all that stuff, but technology is changing. Actually, that new silicon battery technology is actually safer than what's currently being used. I feel like on the next Ultra, it is mandatory that they get that new battery technology in this phone. Now, the biggest issue I have been facing with this device that honestly kind of tarnished my perspective on it is the performance. Now, the performance of the chip itself is actually amazing. The overclocked CPU built for Galaxy has been fantastic, but this phone is an absolute oven. There have literally been occasions to where I will simply watch YouTube for 5 to 10 minutes and this phone feels like a hot pocket in my hand. I actually did a lot of research here and I found a lot of other people having the exact same issue. I reached out to Samsung and they said that I could send the phone back and they could work on it and see if they could fix it, and it will take up to 2 weeks. And it's not only YouTube. I can play Call of Duty Warzone or Genshin Impact for 10 or 15 minutes and the phone extremely throttles to where I jump down to like 25, 30 FPS and the screen is dimming all the way down. Now, this is not due to ambient temperatures. This is typically at my house, so it's nothing to do with that. It took me a little while, but I found out how to fix it. So factory resetting didn't fix it. Clearing out the applications that are being used at that very moment didn't fix it. Turning RAM Plus on and off didn't fix it. The only solution I found was to wipe the cache partition. Now, this did fix it immediately. The next reboot, I didn't really notice any overheating issues, but I feel like for normal people, if they had to figure out how to do that on a phone that costs this much money, that is extremely problematic. That to me was a shocker. And it was also a shocker that a factory reset didn't fix it. And I start all my phones, anytime I get a new phone to test, I start from scratch. I don't do any type of data recovery or data transfers from other phones. So it was nothing to do with that. It was just the phone itself that has really had an impact on my lovingness of this phone. But now that that's fixed, we can move on. So I made a video on One UI 7, and I think One UI 7 is the best implementation of Android that is currently out there right now. The customization with a good lock and with the ability to theme your device and your ability to finally have a vertical scrolling drawer and all of the other little tinks and customizations you could do with One UI 7, I am personally blown away. I will leave a video right here just showing you guys my home screen setup and how I set this up. But that was one thing that really shocked me, was One UI 7. I used the previous versions of One UI for a little bit back on my Galaxy S24, but I feel like this one is insanely good. Oh, jumping back to performance really fast. Other than the overheating, the performance on this phone has been absolutely beautiful. I think the Snapdragon Elite is fantastic. Now that the overheating issue has been resolved by me, the performance itself has been really good. From opening apps to closing apps to gaming, it's really good. I will say that the gaming performance, even after fixing the overheating issues, still isn't on par with Oneplus just yet, because it still does throttle. It still does heat up a little bit compared to the Oneplus. But overall, the performance is kind of insane. This is the first time that I can remember ever that Android phones are faster than an iPhone. So I find that amazing. But yeah, One UI, the performance of One UI with this chip has been a breath of fresh air. I remember when Samsung back in the day had issues with TouchWiz and all that good stuff. So they really come a long way with the customization and the performance of One UI 7. And that's one thing that keeps me glued to this phone. If you guys have made it this far, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. We're on a road to 1,000 subs. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, I have met that sub count. But if not, go ahead and like and subscribe. I have a lot more content coming. And if you're here this long, then you probably like this video, right? Now we'll talk very briefly about the S Pen. Like I said, I am a first-time owner of an S Pen device. And I have loved every single thing about it, dude. It is shockingly great. I personally even use the S Pen just to navigate the phone in a typical basis. I mean, look how fast that is. And I like how you can click the pen. Now, obviously, there's a lot of controversy right now with the pen and it not having the Bluetooth features, which is something that I would have personally used, especially as a content creator. I would have definitely, like for example, say I had my phone tripoded up and instead of tapping the capture button, which can cause tripod rock, I could have just clicked the button and then the video would have recorded and paused, etc. I think I would have liked that. And I think also I would have liked the ability to capture if, say for example, I'm taking a selfie of the family. So you know how you do like the arm extending where you try to get everybody in frame and then click the capture button at the same time? I feel like I would have used the Bluetooth feature for situations like that. So that is disappointing that that is gone, especially since I'm a first-time Ultra user. I feel like I would have used that, but it's gone. So what can you do? I've seen other people talk about how they believe that since they are slowly removing features of the S Pen, that eventually they will remove the S Pen from the Ultra series. I sure hope that doesn't happen. I mean, at least they can maybe make another Ultra phone that doesn't have an S Pen, that has a larger battery, but still offer the S Pen version for people who want it. I would hate for like the S27 series or S28 series to fully remove it. I think that that would be crazy, especially with how much they've invested in the pen itself. So I just hope that that doesn't happen. But yeah, I like the pen a lot and I actually use it a lot. I wish I would have recorded this. I was editing a photo for a thumbnail and I was doing a background removal to where you like go around and outline, you know, a subject. And the pen made it so much easier and so much more precise to do that than it would have been with my fingers. So little things like that make me really enjoy using the S Pen. So let's talk about the cameras. The cameras really surprised me. I'm actually recording this portrait face video with the Galaxy S24, and the S24 series and the previous Samsung phones had a weird skin tone issue whenever I took photos. I didn't like the way Samsung's cameras looked in the past, but I don't know if it's just them totally redoing all of their AI-based camera enhancements, but these photos on this phone look absolutely different than what I'm used to with a Samsung phone. It actually looks more realistic instead of fakey, and I was pleasantly surprised. Of course, the zoom is insane, and I enjoyed the zoom capability quite a bit on video and on photos. Yeah, the cameras really shocked me. Let me know what you guys think about these photos in the comments. Yeah, I think they look really good. I think it's actually, especially when you look at the US phones, I feel like it's up there. I feel like it takes very good photos, man. I mean, they're very bright, They're very clear. On the videos, if you scroll through and use the smooth zoom feature, I like that. You can see the cameras switch over, you know, from the ultra wide telephoto and from the normal lens, but it's not as bad as it is on other devices. Plus, you can shoot 4K 30 portrait, which you can't do on Oneplus or on Pixel devices at all. And you can shoot 4K 60 HDR on every single camera, which I enjoy as a content creator, especially since I shoot all of my videos in HDR. I think the only two issues I have is that, for one, on the Samsung main lens, you can't have different focal lengths like you can on other devices. For example, on the iPhone, I can choose to have a different default focal length, and my default right now is actually set to 1.5. Whenever you click on that, it chooses different millimeter lenses. So it goes from 35 millimeters to 24 millimeters to 28 millimeters. I like that feature a lot. And it is actually the same on the OnePlus 13. So 1.4 to 1x to 1.2. I love that feature. Just looking at this phone. So you can see this is a typical camera, which I feel like is a little bit too wide. That's 1.2 and that's 1.4. I like the way photos look more in a 1.4 or 1.6 zoom. So I typically set that as my default on phones that allow it. So to me, that is very important. And then lastly, I still feel like the Samsung's motion photo capture isn't as good as it is on other phones. So whenever your subject is moving and you're taking a photo, I feel like it can be a little bit blurry sometimes and miss out on the moment perfectly. Other than that, the cameras are very shockingly good. Now, the speakers on this phone are absolutely mesmerizing. It is by far the best speakers I have ever heard on the phone, period. The bass, the loudness, the clarity, the low end, the high end. I mean, it is perfection. It is so good that it literally sounds like it's coming from a real speaker, like, you know, one of those Beats Bluetooth pills or any Bluetooth speaker device. It honestly matches those. I mean, it is mind-blowing how good the speakers are on this phone. I think overall this phone is fantastic. I think it's worth a pickup if you can pick it up on sale. Like, I was able to get this phone without a trade-in for a few $100s off. But I think at that $1,300 price range, I feel like there are maybe better options than spending that much money. I think that for an Ultra phone, this one is pretty great, but I do think the king has possibly fallen just because it isn't clearly the best phone on the market anymore. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this phone is still the best easily, like the S24 Ultra was, and maybe even the previous Ultra devices? Or do you think it's time that they have some real competition for the king of the hill? So I appreciate you guys for watching. If you are still here watching this video right now, leave a comment down below of a blue dolphin. And I appreciate you. If you aren't subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like this video. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.
As you fade away.